Hello and welcome. These are horse racing selections for Sunday, the 21st of May. I am Flat Cap Callum and I'm hoping you are all very, very well after Saturday. Welcome. All right. Well, I wasn't really quite sure how to start tonight's video, to be honest. Because I'm just normally coming on here talking about how much we're behind and it's been a slog of a year. And I'm not here promising anything ever. I'm just telling you, always what I say is judge me in the long term. I'm not giving you any credentials and CV and all that sort of stuff. I'm telling you my best ever, whatever. I'm just here saying judge me in the long term. And anyone who's stuck with it this year, fair play to you if you've carried on through, because Saturday we finally had a decent day. We've been long hunting. There's been a couple of days this year that I didn't do videos on. I was on holiday or whatever, and I was very good. And finally, we've got a decent day on the channel this year, and the stats suddenly now look all a little bit rosier than what they did. So, just to be clear, Sunday we are on. We have got a couple of bets. I went into it thinking, am I going to find anything or not? And then I walked out and I got 8 on my shortlist. So 2 lucky 15s are slotting their way on this video. So it's a £10 stake. And we got a little bit of something from Stratford, Ripon, Naas and Auteuil in the Grand Steeplechase de Paris, which for those of you less familiar is sort of a bit like the French, halfway between the Cheltenham Gold Cup and the Grand National is how I describe it, over in Auteuil. So that is on as well. So I'll get to that, and then let's go through Saturday. So headlines from Saturday were best day of the year, best Saturday since the channel started, third best day since the channel started. And I think on the other 2 best days were days where we'd hit trebles, win trebles, either in a lucky 15 or a Yankee. This was a proper bonanza day. We were knocking in prices left, right, and centre. We had a few winners, and we had some decent price places. The kind of the caveat is, if you were Sky 365 888, you'd have done the best. Without a Sky or 888 or 365, you still would have come out with a nice profit, but nowhere near anyone else. So there's a tinge here that I know if you were out shopping in a shop in an actual bookmaker's, you would have come out with a nice healthy return, but it wouldn't have been the same using any of those free, because there was a few instances of races where they were playing amount of places and then one non-runners knocked it down. Just very, very unfortunate, really. I'll just quick comment on the freebets.com. I've taken that as a loss on freebets.com. We had 2 placed officially, but there was actually 3 placed for I think it was Hills, 888 and Sky, and then 1 was out the placings. We almost hit a 4-timer on that one out the placings, for a place as well. So it was popping off all over the shop. We literally had bet 7 was the only bet that didn't make a profit. So bets 1 to 6 all made a profit for the channel account, which I can't remember a day like that we've had on the channel. This is what happens when it just connects, and it's been a good week. We had a good Wednesday, we had a good Friday, and we didn't do a lot on Thursday, and we only lost a few quid. The thing with it is this time of year is some people hate it because they'll look at it and they'll go, well, okay, how do you work out what's going on here? Because you've got horses running fresh first time out, and what do you do with those? And you've got horses that have run a couple of times, they look like donkeys, and it's sort of a bit of a time of year for me to thrive, really, because I'll find things that others won't find, and therefore if I find things that others won't find, it means the market doesn't react to them, which means I can get better prices. And it's sort of been a bit of the case all week like that, really. There's been some decent prices. We had some winners and we had some close seconds, and then today it was popping in a little bit. But yeah, the way that I will go into the depth of research to pull them out means that I'm not finding things that your average punter does, because if your average punter finds them, the prices won't be the prices they are. And actually, most prices today for selection, so today Saturday, or depending on when you're watching the video, most prices actually held. They do tend to more on a Saturday. Be warned, I think the Sunday horses are very, very price sensitive, but Saturday's prices generally held, which means even if you were on at SP, you didn't lose out much. And I think 365 probably actually came out tops overall, because for the big bet 4 that paid out the most, I worked it out, and I was like, although for the channel it paid out 380 odd, if you actually got the best prices on Treacherous and Bear Force 1, it probably would have actually been 500. So there's a difference between about £100 on 365 if you got the other prices from the morning prices of the other two. So Bet 365 should have been winners, but yeah, we didn't have a lot of price movement really. But also it's just helpful when you're not getting non-runners and you're not getting a load of rule 4s, because the ground is staying the same, and the ground is what it is in the morning. It really does help. So let me talk you through what did we have. Because at points it was just looking like it was incredible, but I'm happy with the outcome, but absolutely could have been more than that. So bet 1, we started off here early doors. This one got back to 4-1. I mean, I'm surprised it was 4-1, but it very nearly won the race. 12s is what we had for the channel. Then 4.35 Wexford, Good Night, God Bless, 8s. I think the SP was actually a touch bigger than that on that one. That went and won really comfortably. There was a horse contending that fell, but I think it would have beaten it anyway. So we had a place and a win going on to the two bigger price at Uttoxeter. I See You Well didn't look great in running, but absolutely stayed on like a good thing to come clearly second. So we were then sat with second win second. And then Iceman Dennis, there was a couple towards the end of the day that the cynics would say, what happened there? Because that horse never looked good, and was out, didn't finish the race. I think it stopped and had a picnic halfway around. There was a few like that towards the end of the day, and the cynics would say, is that coincidental? The last horse on a bet where it looks like there could be quite a few quid down, a horse just doesn't turn up. But either way, we had a place treble with a winner there on bet 1, so it was a really nice start, and that was for everybody, so everybody benefited from that one. We then went into this. This was one of the ones that ended up being sensitive to non-runners, because it ended up being 15-runner race. So only in the end did Sky and Hills and 888, I think it was, paid out. And then if you got on early with 365, you've probably been all right as well. But 365 changed their terms, but they often honour it. So any one of those, you'd have got Force of Tomeo at 33s. It was 5th, and only those ones paid out for 5th. Then we had Chindit, ran a great race at 22s, and was second in the Lockinge. And then we had a couple of disappointments there, really. That one, unsurprising, it was a bit of a dodge pick because it was coming off a massive layoff. And that one didn't really show up, to be fair. So we had a place double, and it would have been a place single for some folk on that one. Then we went into bet 3. Tinto placed 4th. That wouldn't have paid out for many. I think Sky and 365 maybe. And then Scottish Summit won nicely. 14-1 was the starting price. That was great. Cosmos Raj never sighted on that one, and Frog and Toad. I think was probably having lunch with Iceman Dennis. I don't know. I mean, literally didn't even look like it tried. Just didn't try. So we had a win in a place. Some would have just had that as a win. So that was there, and then it was bet 4 was the biggie. So it was the only one of the day. I did the 20p. I put my 4 best in together. What do we got? We got Bear Force 1, another Bear Force 1 victory. So 16-1 we had it on before, 22s this time. So we've backed it twice now when it's won nicely. 22s was the SP. Swiss Ace, that was the one that only paid out. Sky 365 and 888, I think. 18s, that was backed into 10s, that shortened up. Then we got Hurt You Never at 25s, that was 5th, but most bookies paid out for 5th. That went into 18s, and then Treacherous drifted despite the fact that of the bet was standing, and it was one of those ones that it did seem magically appeared on Paddy Power when that one about 800 times that bet was placed. Treacherous drifted to 40 to 1 and came 5th. So 20p each way, lucky 15, £6 was the bet. It returned the channel £384. So definitely one of the most valuable ones we've had in the channel, but not the most valuable ones. Sky and Bet365 and 88 would have got that, and I think 365 would have done the best. So that was bet 4. What do we have this one? We had Bear Force 1, so we hit the winner on that one going on to the second leg, and then unfortunately we could only get Treacherous Place. It was a place double on there, but we started off with a nice winner. So we had a profitable return on that one, and that would have returned for everybody, I think. Then at Thirsk, we had Scottish Summit wins. So we had both cross doubles with winners flying in. Swiss Ace, obviously, as we talked about, paid out for a few bookies. And then we managed to snag both places with the next 2. So it was one of them ones, if you look at hindsight, so if I'd done them in the having a little go bet, and I took my top 2 picks in each race, we would have ended up with 2 winners and 4 other places. So 6 out of 8 would have placed. It would have been a very, very profitable bet if I'd done the kind of the having a little go, 10p each way, 4-folds. I didn't. It is what it is. I did have a thought about it. To be honest, what put me off with this one is Berinja, I felt, was a risky one. Berinja was risky. I thought Rainbow Rain was risky, but it ran a nice race and was 5th. And I thought Scottish Summit was it was a bit of an open race, and that's what put me off. But it turned out all right in the end. And then we had Doncaster. That was the letdown really. So not any good. That came second. No good and no good. I think that one. I think that was with the others having its lunch. Yeah, that were it. So anything else to say on that? So stats wise, I think we've gone now from standing at -2% before today for the year to plus 19%. It's taken me till the 20th of blinking May to get ahead for the year. I mean, come on, absolute jokes. The overall channel stats are now 19% profit for the year. Now, noting that only would have been the case if you're Sky 365, but hopefully everybody else has had a nice day and wouldn't have reached 19%, but would be in profit. Overall channel stats since we started have now moved. We were sat 26% for horse racing bets in the entirety of the channel. It's now gone back up to 31%. So if you'd followed everything, and it's obviously all through a Sky Bet account. But if you followed everything, you'd be 31% up ROI from everything invested. And obviously, I keep it nice and simple. I haven't got anything complicated going on with kind of cumulative staking plans and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to keep it nice and easy and accessible. So that was all good. And then anything else I'm going to say? Yeah, just want to make the point because obviously it's always wise after the event, right? And we had a cracker of a day. These days happen. And on average, I'm trying to hit on a day these kind of days where everything I'm on is dropping near left, right, and centre. I'm trying to hit like a couple of days, 3 of these a year. That would be 3 of those a year would sort you right out. But I'm my aim is not to have a strategy that basically means if you're on those 2 or 3 days, you win, and if you don't, you don't. It has just been a bit like that this year. We had one good day where we had over 100. And this one obviously clearly surpassing that, but what we've been missing this year a little bit is more of the regular kind of 70, 80, 90 pound return days. So I'm hoping we'll pull out a few more of those and kick on a little bit, but you never quite know. But yeah, the plan is not to just have 3 days a year where you come out ahead and that's it, but there will always be some standout days. But also, and I think it's important to reiterate this because I think some people get this and some don't. So, because I've talked about this lots of times, but not necessarily as explicit. Lucky 15 bets. People always talk about lucky 15 bets. Are they good or are they not, right? So if you're finding value in the market, it accumulates the value. So they are good bets. What I am doing differently to the vast majority brackets, I don't see anyone else doing what I do specifically. So I'm not saying it's the best way. I'm just saying it's my way. What I'm trying to do is string together big price places in lucky 15s to generate the profit. I'm not trying to string together wins. So yes, we had a few winners today, but my win strike rate, I've said it many times, my win strike rate isn't that great. My place strike rate, my frame strike rate is, and it outweighs the odds of the horses. Because if you've got a horse that's say 40 to 1, the price of that horse 40 to 1, that is based on what's the chance of that horse winning. I don't care about that when I'm working out picks and stats in a lot of the time. I'm looking at what's the chances of it placing. And if it's 40 to 1 to win, that means a fifth of the odds, 8 to 1. I'm doing simple maths, 8 to 1 for it to place. Is that good or not? That's how I work stuff out. So the strategy is built on getting big prices placed. Now there are days, like we've had a few last year, where we strung 3 winners together in lucky 15. And eventually, you play my game long enough, we will hit 4 winners. I might be old and grey and have like a long, like scraggly beard. I don't know, but at some point in the future, that will happen. The laws of averages say it'll happen if you try it long enough. Now, what I am trying to do is make a profit and long-term profit over hitting places together. And we've had a real challenge this year when it comes to hitting 4 together. And today we hit 1. We almost hit a second. We were 1 leg short, and freebets.com was 1 leg short as well. So it all sort of came to in one go with different horses. So yeah, I'd much rather it be spread out, but I just want people to be clear. I'd back my horses singles a lot of the time. Anything double figures at least, I'd back singles. And I do that myself personally off the channel. I put wedges on from a single point of view and then put them in lots of different combinations of multiples. So I do multiple Yankees basically. I do the wedge on the single and I put lots of Yankees on, in spreading it across different bookmakers. But it's the place point, because I'm saying this because there was somebody in the comments who said, they backed a lot of the horses to win and whatever. There'll be other people that are more likely to hit 4 winners together, but they'll be shorter prices. Well, that's statistically that will happen anyway. But at some point it might happen in the future. But I am about places, trying to string places together. All right, I think that's it. Right, should we do some bets for Sunday? Now, health warning as always, regulars, you know the gig. We had a great day. Don't go silly and blow all your money on Sunday's racing. It's Sunday. It's not the best day. If you've had a good win today, the best thing you can do is withdraw that money and spend it on something nice, or invest it in something, but not reinvest it in horses. That money is in your pot. That's money you've earned. And we got back before today. I think we were minus 43 for the year. So hopefully most people had kind of, weren't too bad for the year, even though it's absolutely been a bit of a sloggo. But don't just think I've got loads of money, and don't think he's on a good streak, I'm going to go big now. If you want to increase your stake because you've made some money, increase it by 5%, 10%. Do not increase it by doubling your money and go, well, I'm going to go in big on these ones, because that is the way that you fall off the cliff edge. So I've had a decent day off the channel. Like, right, don't take a rocket science to work it out. Right, if I'm taking my own selections and doing them in different bets in other ways, I'll have had a decent day. I'm not betting any more stake in terms of the amount of money I'm staking on my bets for Sunday than I did on Saturday, because the money I've won is money that is banked. So the money is banked. What I'd recommend to others, particularly if you're prone to temptation, is take it out and spend it. And then because if you start increasing your stake all the time, psychologically what that does to you is you get immune to the fact of how much money you're putting on, and you get used to betting higher and higher stakes, and therefore 20p's, if that's what you started with, don't feel very interesting or exciting. There are plenty of people on this channel who do this as a hobby, and they are pence betters or cent betters depending on what currency they're using, and they have a nice little time, and they still make a decent amount of money, but they don't increase their stake because it's not just a dangerous game from a point of view. You end up betting more and more money, and you eat into your bank. It's psychologically you become desensitized to how much money you bet, and a lot of people can't deal with it, and therefore it becomes normal to put hundreds of pounds on a horse. When particularly if you started with pence doing that, that's not a good place to go to unless you happen to be someone who's got tens of thousands of pounds to back you up. All right, so health warning aside, here we go. 2 lucky 15s. We're starting in this one. 205 Stratford, no extra places. Astroman, clearly the third best horse to me in the race. Don't see why it's 18-1. Probably should be about 8 or 9-1. So I think it could be a market move. 305 Auteuil, Grand Steeplechase to Paris. Poly Grand Champ, 12-1. You can get 16s elsewhere if you like a single bet worth 16s. I think Paddy can do 16s. I'm trying to think. Well, it might be a 365. I saw it 16s too, but it's odds checker. I haven't got it on very clearly. I don't think you can find it on odds check at the moment. But I'll take 12s. I was having an R in because normally if it's French ones I might do SP, but because it's the only one I've just done it as 12s. I think it could well drift a bit more, that one. So it's an experienced horse and it will get overlooked because people will look at it and go it's 11 and whatever. But it's the kind of race it's helpful to have an experienced horse that knows what to do. A lot of these are going to be running over the trip for the first time. It's 3 mile and 6 on very soft ground. There's not a lot of horses are actually going to really enjoy themselves, but Polyground Champ will do. 405 Stratford, no extra places here. Danzini 18s. It's been drifting, but I think that will come in. The only reason I can see it drifting is if ultimately inside knowledge says it might be a non-runner, but it should be shorter than that. And then 515 at Naas, Rick Dalton 16s. I've got a couple in that race, and value-wise, that's my second choice. 15p each way, lucky 15. 450 is the bet. No extra places, 4. No extra places, 4 on pretty much all bookmakers as far as I can see. So I'm calling this one as a 365 Paddy Coral, somewhere where you will get bog. You won't necessarily get bog on French ones. I can't. Do you know off the top of my head? If anyone wants to know, shove it in the comments. But I can't remember if any bookies pay bog on in French racing because I don't worry so much about bog. I don't pay as much attention. But with the other ones, 365 Paddy Corals. Coral still the night before. 365 Paddy. You have to wait till the morning. We'll give you bog on these races. But as I said, I think that's a price sensitive. I think that might go in a little bit, even though it's come out. So that's bet 1, 450. And then the other bit is this bet 2. 225 Ripon, Van Gerwen 12s. I can see that getting shorter. 445 Naas, better days are coming. I think that one could get shorter, and if it does, then I would say that's a positive sign if that one does. 455 Ripon, 18s. I see that getting shorter, and 515 Naas, Crystal Black 28s. Brilliant price. Should be half of that at least. So we're going 15p each way, lucky 15, 50p each way double on and Crystal Black because they are my best two from a value perspective for the day. So we've got a 50p each way double on those. This one is a bit more difficult in terms of bookie advice, but I've written it all out just to make the point that 365 are not preferable. So if you've got choices, this is not your 365 bet. Sky come out just ahead because they are 4 on all of them. 4 on all of them, and maybe 5 on... No, 4 on all of them. 4 on all of them. They are 4. Hills are 4 on 3 of them. Coral and Paddy and Betfair are 4 on 2 of them, but different ones. It gets very difficult. So I'm saying Sky best, then Hills, then Coral or Paddy, and then Betfair. They're the best 5 bookmakers in that order to put this bet on with. There is also a bit of a range of prices going on in different places. So that 28 is standout with a couple of bookmakers, including Sky. But yeah, that should go, I should think. So that's 550. So that is our bet for Sunday. So after this, that'll be me until Tuesday night. So I won't be offering any selections on Monday. If I find anything, I'll put it in the comments. Doesn't look like my kind of day on Monday. They're not really my kind of tracks I love, so I'll see if I find anything. I'll certainly write it in the comments if I do. Tuesday does look a bit more my cup of tea, but I won't know till I get nearer. But won't be a video unless something miraculous I find. Otherwise, I might put something in the comments for Tuesday racing. After that, I'll be back Tuesday night. Word on the golf, Shane Lowry's still up there in contention, really for placings at the moment. And then we've got Matsuyama 2 shots away from the money, and Chris Kirk 3 shots from the money. So they look like possibles for the last day. So we'll have to see how we go. Matt Wallace has sort of come down the leaderboard, and so's Nikolai Højgaard. Well, they've gone up the wrong way basically. So looks like the side bets of Top English and the Win Trixie top 20 bet, they don't look very promising at this stage. So I think for tomorrow, the eyes are going to be on Shane Lowry. Can he get in top 12 is what we had for the channel, but at least top 8, then everybody who's had a bet on that one will be all right. And then we're looking for Matsuyama and Kirk to see if they can get anywhere near that top 10. Or that's the golf. I think that's everything. Other than to say just a massive, massive thank you. I just really, really appreciate all the people that stuck through. Now, clearly over the last few months, we've had ups and a lot more downs. And as and when that happens, you get people who come along, they don't understand. I deliberately do this in a very rustic way. And you have to ride out really, really long runs. And I've kept at it. There's a few times I've been like, really could do with an extended break here. But I have faith in what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Just need to be a bit patient sometimes. And anyone who stuck with it until Saturday and patience is rewarded, fair play to you. I kept saying we're not owed, but we're due. And we were due, and it came out on Saturday. Who knows what the next few weeks will hold for us, but I'm happy where we're at the moment. But yeah, I just massively appreciate all the people that interact with the channel, because there absolutely is a bunch of people who watch the videos who don't interact. Some might just be really appreciative and just very silent because they don't want to put themselves out on YouTube, and completely fair play and respect that. There'll be a bunch of people who are just passing through, just taking the tips and going. And so I really, really genuinely appreciate everyone who stops and takes time to make a comment, because it makes it worthwhile. As I've said many times, I'm not here to make money from this, in the respect of I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm doing it because I'm trying to help people, and that's what I've said all along. I'm trying to help people because I have a method that works, that ultimately pays long term, even if sometimes it's completely baffling to people. And even on days when it works, people are like, how did you pick those horses? I keep saying this, but I do intend at some point to do a video where I go into stuff in more detail, and I try as I go through, and I put bits out and tidbits and stuff as I go. So I'm not trying to hide anything in terms of my selection process. The difficulty is I'm not using any like software and stuff. I just got a very good brain for looking at patterns and data. So I just go through the data that's available. It's free. I don't pay for anything extra. I don't pay for these extra fancy packages and things that make clever algorithms and stuff. I just go through it all, and I'm able to retain quite a bit of data. And the more you do it, the more you just get into it, and you kind of see stuff. And on some days, like Saturday, it works. There are plenty of other days where it doesn't work. What I do know is what I do works in the long term, and that's what it's about. But yeah, just for the bottom of my heart, thank you for everybody who interacts with the channel. There's some lovely folk on here. And yeah, it's great, and I won't be for everybody, and even after Saturday I won't be for everybody, and that's just, it's absolutely fine. I don't want to be here for everybody. I want to be here for the people that find it and get it and appreciate it, because it's not all about how much money you can make. Sometimes it's just about having a bit of fun, having a bit of banter, giving people a bit of an interest. And you know what, if you can do all of that and ultimately come out profitable at the end of the year, then to me that's winning. That's what having a bet should be about. Because I saw something, it riled me up. I didn't say this earlier. Saw it riled me up. Racing Post, there was an article about the Sunday Times Rich List, and one of the sentences in the thing was, it's been a difficult year for bookmakers. A difficult year for bookmakers. How's it been for punters? Stripping away best price guaranteed the night before, that screwed people, taking away extra places. every bookmaker's then not doing bog on multiples except a couple. I think bookmakers are doing all right. I mean, certainly the big ones, they're doing all right. If there's a bunch of the owners on Sunday Time Rich List, I don't think it's been a difficult day or a difficult year or a difficult month or a difficult decade for any of them. I think it's difficult for punters, and trying to solve the puzzle of how to win, that is difficult. So, wasn't overly enamoured by that Racing Post article. And obviously, all of these things, Racing Post and Sporting Life, are ultimately all wrapped up in some sort of other company that runs bookmaking sites and stuff. So it takes great satisfaction when you actually can beat the game and beat the system, because the system is stacked against you 100%. And we've talked many times, there's plenty of corruption in there. You just got to work your way through it and you get to the other side. All right, that's it. I'm going to finish this 31-minute video, but thank you very much. Don't go too crazy on Sunday. It's a £10 day. If you did £35 on Saturday, do £10 on Sunday. Don't want to hear any sob stories about people doubling up and it not going well. All right, I have got a conscience, and I take this very seriously responsible, that I've got people's money not in my hands, but people listen to what I say and I take it seriously. So please don't do anything silly on my tips. All right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you Tuesday night. Bye-bye.